What's up, Game Boys and Girls? Big T here, back with another video. But this video here is about mostly about their price increase for Tears of the Kingdom, which I think is highly unjustified. If you're somebody who sees the price increase, the $10 price increase for Breath of the Wild, you're fine with it. You're just gonna buy the game. I don't care. That's fine with me. Obviously, I would want. Or because it also affects me, I would wish that Nintendo fans would push back against these things. And my channel started on a lot of this stuff, where as far as how the gaming industry is going, and how not just Nintendo fans, but just gaming fans, period, should approach these changes to video gaming, the culture of it, and just stop accepting all this stuff, outright, just accepting it because you're worried that it's going to go away. It's not going anywhere. And it's okay to make a stance and point out, the issues that you might have with a company, even if you really like them. And I'm a huge Nintendo fan. I've been a fan since the 80s. So, I don't really need to, show, my background as far as that goes. But, like I said, this channel partially was built on, created on challenging narratives or challenging, things that I don't like about gamers or about the game industry itself. And so there is no justification for the price increase other than the fact that Nintendo wants to make more money. I mean, that's basically it. They want to make more money on the game they know is going to sell, and people will make concessions for. And concessions isn't a thing I like to take lightly. It's something I take very seriously, because the more you concede, the more they'll take and take and take. And so people will say, well, it's been a long time since we had a price increase in games. It's time. Inflation. This is not the first time we've had inflation, by the way. People seem to act like we've had inflation for the first time ever. It's crazy to have console makers raising the price of their consoles 2 years in, like Microsoft has done, and not as much yet anyway, and how Sony is doing, raising the price of their consoles and raising the price of the games, when we're in an industry that is making record profits, guys. There are ways to make money off of a game after you sell it, and a lot of these companies do that. Most of these games come out today with DLC. We have a game that is pretty broken on Nintendo Switch right now, a Pokemon game. You all know what it is. Sold 20 million copies. It's broken. It has really severe issues as far as its performance goes, and we've placated to Nintendo. We've rewarded them for this type of, it's not Nintendo, it's Pokemon Company, but also Nintendo, because they own a stake in it. We've rewarded them countless times for mediocrity. And when you do that, you're telling these companies it's okay how you release these products. We're still going to buy them in droves. And yes, we'll take your DLC as well. I'm not about that. I've got videos years ago. This isn't a new stance for me. Again, people around me, they're all changing. I'm not. And that's what's making a lot of people upset. The Nintengoon, as I call them. I'm not changing. This is how you go back and look at my videos from years ago. This is me talking about my worries and what all this stuff's coming. The onslaught of DLC, day one DLC especially. Putting games out there that are not finished. They're not done. They're not quality. We're just accepting these new things because of the internet. Oh, they'll just fix it later. Gaming fans who spent their money, their $60 and now $70 in a lot of these cases, are saying, oh, they'll fix it later, placating to these corporations. It is insanity. And the more you give up, the more they'll take. So my stance is to not give up. I'm not going to, give up another $10 when you haven't done anything overly special. And you're making record profits. Breath of the Wild sold, what is it now, 30 plus million copies? And they sold all kinds of DLC. They made oodles and oodles of money off of that game. And the only reason it's $70, they said, hey, we made oodles and oodles of money off of that game. Let's make a little bit more. And I'm not going to do it. They just ruined, for me, I made a statement that they ruined the goodwill of the latest Nintendo Direct for $10. And it's really sad because, man, Metroid Prime Remastered is amazing. And I know they're kicking themselves right now saying, man, we could have released that at $60. We could have got more money out of that thing. Because it's probably going to outsell, it may even outsell Metroid Dread. That's crazy to think of, but it could. It could quite possibly outsell Dread. And I know they're just kicking themselves thinking we could have made more money. They didn't realize people really want, the bigger 3D Metroid games because we're in a mostly 3D era, and it's hard to sell a 2D game in multiple million copies. But it's a lot easier to do a 3D game that is still a quality game, even after all these years. It's just because of the core of the game is quality. So, but yeah, I'm just tired of giving and giving. Now you have Redfall and Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League, which doesn't look great at all. But these games are also online only. You can't play even the single player portion of these games. And people wonder why, it's like, why we care about these things like game preservation, because situations like this, there's no reason for the single player portion of this game to be online only, but they're doing it. And mentioning the record profits, these companies are making way more money than before because not only because of DLC and just microtransactions and whatnot, but also because retail is costing them less. They have digital storefronts. All these companies have digital storefronts now that don't cost them anything. Oh, obviously, it costs them to maintain servers and whatnot, but way cheaper than having to deal with materials, physical materials, shipping them to a store, paying the retailer. So now they have these digital stores that they own completely, and they're making $60. They're making the entire amount of money. So they are making record profits that should negate any kinds of ridiculous $10 price increases or anything like that. So there's no reason for Breath of the Wild, for Tears of the Kingdom to be $10 more. There just isn't a reason for it other than we want to make more money. And to see Nintendo fans, it's weird. Not any fans, but obviously I'm in the Nintendo space. To see Nintendo fans celebrating the fact that the Switch console itself, and maybe even the Joy-Con, I don't know. I haven't really bought Joy-Cons in years. And other hardware surrounding it has not gone down in price. That is something to celebrate. No, it's not. You're getting nothing for that. You're getting no benefit other than to say, look at my company. My company can still sell this, 8-year-old product, that was already pretty much technology-wise obsolete 6 months after it was put out there. They're still selling it for the exact same price. Nintendo has never done that in its history, even for the consoles that did sell well and did have large install bases. That includes the NES, Super NES. GameCube was a lower selling console. N64 was a lower selling console, but it was still a very successful console. And the Wii had price drops. Like, to celebrate that, they're gouging people 6 years into a console's life. That's Nintengoon behavior. It is very strange to me. And I don't know why anybody would do that. But, like I said, so what I'm going to do, as far as Tears of the Kingdom goes, I'm trying to find a way to not have to pay $70 to be able to play it. Because if not, I'll just wait until the price drops as far as a used copy or something. I got enough games I can play. I don't have to worry about that. I don't pay $70 for anybody. On the Microsoft side, I have Game Pass. So their $70 games will not affect me whatsoever. And if they did, I'm out. I'm not paying $70 for these video games when these companies are making record profits. They tout about it. They're excited. They talk about it all the time. I remember EA specifically was talking about how much money in just DLC they've made in microtransactions. $1 billion. We're talking billion. Nintendo, for its ridiculously terrible online service, they made close to $1 billion last year. They're excited about this because they want their shareholders and whatnot to be happy. So that's who they cater to. So that's why they're charging more for a game that's not. And then this is a game that is using assets that were started to be built in 2014. So no, no, you're not using new technology. There's not a higher frame rate, a higher resolution. So you can't even justify it with that stuff. Not to mention that PC has been doing, 4K and 1080p 60 for years, and their prices aren't changing. And they just know that PC gamers won't put up with that. They slightly will put up with $60 late PS4 and PS5 ports, and I won't do that either. But they're not. I don't see them looking and jumping and skipping to pay $70 for games that they've just already been playing that aren't doing anything more. I understand budgets are bigger, but profits are a lot bigger as well. So this is insane. It's not going to make a difference. Me saying I'm not paying for this stuff. It's just a principle for me to make me feel better, because I know they don't deserve this. And we consumers don't deserve this either, for making them the biggest industry in the world. Gaming is the biggest industry out there. And what do we get for it? We get broken ass games with DLC that comes out a month later that should have been in the game already, games that are only online, games that you put your money into and they rip it out 6 months later because the game didn't do well. You put no, I'm not doing it. So I was saying earlier that I'm going to do a voucher because I have Switch Online and they give us a voucher or whatever for it. So I'm going to do the voucher for my son's copy because he loves Zelda. It's one of the few console games he plays. So I'm going to get him Tears of the Kingdom for $50. So that's cool. And I guess you could say, well, if I got it for him for $50, I'm saving $20. No, I'm at least saving $10. Why don't I get? No, I mean that doesn't work for me because Nintendo is still getting that $70, and I'm not about giving them that. So it's not about saving money. That's not. It could be partially that overall, but it's not just about saving money. It's about not supporting what I think is price gouging, needless, pointless price gouging when you guys are making record profits. Record profits, guys. And people will point out, oh, remember those ads of, from games in the 90s and they're like $60 and $70 when the base game, there was a lot of different price ranges for video games back in the day too. And there still kind of is, but it's mostly indie stuff. But there is a difference between paying $70 for a digital game online and paying $70 for, let's say, RoboCop versus the Terminator. I think that was one of the pricier games that came out from a third party. Not to mention that game came with this really cool, I still have it, plastic kind of not chromey looking, but like bulky looking hard plastic cover case to go over top of your box. It was pretty cool. But the game itself comes in a plastic a cartridge that has a circuit board on it with ROM chips and stuff on it. These things cost money, hardware manufacturing, where even if you just bought a disc, we're talking pennies that the disc costs. So there was an extra price added to some of these games, some N64 games as well, because the ROM chips in them were bigger because they were necessary for those games. And yeah, you had to pay more for that because there is a virtual difference there on why you had to pay more. And people will say, well, hey, the cart that Tears of the Kingdom comes on is bigger and it needed 32 megabyte cartridge. Well, I remember a game called Witcher 3 from a third party that came on a 32 gigabyte cart. They didn't charge more. You chose to make these cartridge-based games. That is your choice, to make a cartridge-based system. You have to eat some of that cost. And Nintendo has done that in the past, by the way. They put out games with bigger, ROM, like I said, expansions and whatnot, or bigger carts with more ROM on them. And they ate the cost. They didn't charge more. They didn't up the charge. They kept their price at what it was in those days. They refuse to do that now? Okay, that's fine. But that is Nintendo changing, not me. That is you guys changing, being slowly turned. I have this story that I wrote that I'm still working on. Hopefully I finish it before the summer, about these aliens who come, to our planet, and they look like us, and they mimic us and whatnot, and they insert themselves into the government. They replace people. It's like a body snatcher thing, where they replace certain people in the government, and they do these different laws and whatnot to slowly make us more docile and more docile. It's somewhat based on the John Carpenter film They Live. And so they're just making us docile and more docile over time, so they can just do whatever they want to do with us, basically. So when it comes to actually invade and take over, we're so docile, it won't even be a fight. And that's where we are with gaming. We're becoming more docile. We're, taking all these concessions and making it easier and easier for these companies to be more and more egregious, and making us more docile and more docile. And over time, we just won't even fight. We won't even say anything. Oh, yes, here, take my wallet. Give me back how much money you think I should have. No, I'm not with that. I'm not a Nintendo, and I'm not about to keep conceding and giving these people things. I can easily just stop buying new games and just become a retro gamer, focusing on current gen or less, last gen and before, and just play that. I am completely fine with that. I'm not you. I know people, oh yeah, you're not going to do that, man. The new Mario, but I don't care. I will not concede. And that's just me. I'm not telling you to. I wish you would, but I'm not here to tell people what to do. I'm just going to tell you what I'm doing, and I'm not conceding. I will happily just play old games. I love my old systems. I play them all the time, so it's whatever. But that's it for this video. What's happening with the channel is I had started trying to do all these other channels. I'm basically going to merge them into this one, because the way YouTube works anyway with the algorithm, there's really no point on having, oh, this is specifically for this, specifically for that. The way the algorithm works, even your subscribers don't even get videos all the time. They don't even get recommended your videos all the time. So I can just make videos about movies like I want to do. I'm not going to do a whole lot of current event stuff as far as gaming goes. I want to get into more documentary style stuff, or just talking about old games that I love and all that kind of stuff. One of my subscribers gave me a suggestion to do Jet Force Gemini. I'm going to do that. It's going to be my first one. That's the plan there. And I'm going to do my movie-based stuff, Mizzah Tee ATM, where it's just going to be like a total, episode of a skit. It's a show. It's me putting on a show. That's what I'm going to do with me, Puppet T, and Squeaks the Cat. We're going to sit down, Mystery Science Theater 3000 style, watch movies, really bad ones sometimes, and make fun of them and have a good time. So that's what I'm doing. Hope you guys look out for that. Support the channel. You can support me on Patreon. That will help me not have to worry about YouTube's crazy rules as far as cussing, and they just keep changing. It's like whack-a-mole with YouTube. So at least, especially for that stuff, because I want to get a little bit more raunchy, if you will, and I won't have to placate to their weird ad things. If my Patreon is doing well, just enough so I can do it without worrying, and also, because I'm gonna, like I said, go back to one job, also help me to be able to support doing this myself, if I'm only doing one job and whatnot. So anyway, that's it for this video. Thank you guys for watching and listening. Don't be a Nintendo, and see you fools next time. Peace out.